We are going to talk today about our finances when it comes to following God.
Something most people don't like even talking about.
If we build this house and we never move into it, we've done what God has asked us to do.
My reality was, I'm going to start low with the bar. I can only go up from there. If you don't have it, or you're not going to have it in the next 30 days, you don't need it. God's going to open the door, but it's on me to finish it. The biggest piece for Kersha and I is really just giving hope and encouragement to those out in the community. The reality is, step in and do something and figure it out if it's right
Up your
or
game.
not.
If God is calling you to start a business or calling you to give that gift, you don't know what the fruit is on the backside, and He will never leave you from without.
I wanted the microwave mentality, which is, I just want to hit the button and it's done. Welcome back to another episode of Crazy Unbelievable Faith. I am your co-host, Brian Owen, alongside my wife, Kersha.
Hi.
How are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Good. So I was thinking about this. For those maybe that have not grabbed an earlier episode, just to kind of bring you up to speed, if you haven't had a chance to go back and listen to some of our past podcasts, if you're not already a subscriber or follower, please do so. But the biggest piece for Kersha and I is really just giving hope and encouragement to those out in the community. This is a time that people are quietly suffering, I think, silently suffering. And so if we can encourage, if we can hope, if we can give hope in any way, that's kind of our prayer off of this podcast.
That's deep, Brian.
It is. That's like boom, right
I'm
there.
proud of you.
Right off the bat.
He's not normally a deep intellectual person.
I'm not even.
I carry that card.
She wrote the note. You just can't see it behind the computer. It's for me to read verbatim. But hopefully I did a good job with that. But no, today is a deep episode. And kind of before we jump into it, this is kind of a little disclaimer at the beginning. Like, this is what worked for us.
And
we're not saying
these are our stories.
Correct. This is not something that others have to go do, or we're saying, hey, drop everything and go do this the way we did it.
No, really, we're just talking about the emotions that we journeyed through during these challenges and struggles.
We're not a CPA. We're not a financial advisor. We're just Brian and Kersha. So with that,
we just want to resonate with others that maybe are being called to do something similar or maybe the same thing, that these emotions are normal, and we both went through these emotions at different stages. Other people that God has called them to do things, those people went through these same emotions, maybe not to the same degree, or maybe to a different degree as well. It is hard. And so we are going to talk today about our finances when it comes to following God.
Something most people don't like even talking about.
Right.
With their own family.
And I think that society talks about not being open and vulnerable about that stuff. But I think that it's important. We're not going to share our financials with any of you. That's our information and that's our business. But we are going to talk about ways in which God did stretch us financially to do certain things, and the emotions that came in contact with, and then also share with you that at the end of that journey, He provided 15 days out from the closing of our home and what that looked like. So let's jump into this.
Buckle up. Here we go. This is a seatbelt episode for sure. You're going to want to have a seatbelt on to listen to this one.
So some of our show notes. Here are some emotions that we're going to push through right now. Frustration, Brian.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about, let me give you the prelude. In 2020, God asked us to sell our home and pay off all of our debt. And He was very clear with that. So we sold our home, and He led us to a piece of land that it all was in our budget, okay? We got to the piece of land, and I felt this tug to pray on how much He wanted us to build this house for. And that house was a little bit of a stretch in our comfort zone. Now, we could afford it, but it pushed us to be a little bit uncomfortable from the realm of how comfortable we would be. We didn't want to be house poor at the end of it. And so that stretching is where the frustration comes into play. So do you want to take our listeners back to 2020 and 2021 on our finances back then and what that looked like during that time?
And you know, the frustration of it, there's never enough, I think. So many people, there's more month than money was something, these were things that Kersha and I talked about a lot. Thankfully, we had mentorship in our life. We had been seeking mentorship. We had been getting perspective to, again, get out of, I mean, just, again, common sense things, but they're not always common, but to live within your means, things like that. But I think as we went through it, or I think you're wanting me to go with the frustration on this of.
I was just going to add, we were debt free. Leading into 2020, and 2019 we went from a family of 5 to a family of 7 when our twins were born. And so
and if anybody knows anything about raising a kid and the financial piece that goes on top of that, and this is like, let alone they're not even big into sports, it's still like $500,000 from birth to 18 per kid. And that's not even being, again, like I said, a standout star in something, or sports or arts of some kind. But yes, the frustration of, okay, God, you want us to do this, and the number was stretching to us. And I had kind of this mindset that I think, just being around it from my parents, from that time frame, and things that were instilled in me, was like, well, if you don't have it, or you're not going to have it in the next 30 days, you don't need it. Because a lot of people, again, swipe a credit card. It's like, well, yeah, you got to pay that off. And that was just kind of my mindset. So I'm thinking, okay, God, you're stretching us with this number. Where is that coming from? Because I didn't have it in my job. It definitely wasn't there in the base salary. It definitely wasn't there in the commissions coming.
Well, because it's 2020. He had taken a 20% pay cut.
World shutdown.
Going into this. And we didn't know, obviously there was anxiety about what was happening in the world around us. There was also anxiety of, we sold our house and we moved into a rental and we were going to start this build project.
Well, we were fortunate enough. We had a side business that was producing income. But yeah, when I got the notice that, hey, you're taking a 20% pay reduction, and God is saying pay off all your debt, I was like, oh my gosh, we've all lost our minds here.
Which the debt was our home at the time.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, God, well, the only way we can pay that off is to sell it, or like, what are we doing? And then that's what led us on this. Okay, God led us to some homes Kersha had seen, and I really wasn't. I was a creature of comfort, and I didn't like
Hence
moving.
Frustration, guys.
I didn't like change a lot, and so yes, that frustration was like, okay, God, like you say this is going to happen, like I want it today. I wanted the microwave mentality, which is still society. I just want to hit the button and it's done.
He wanted a quick bake.
Yeah. And little did I know, 5 years later, God is we're still on this journey. Like we don't have answers to everything.
Right. No.
But
let's walk them through that. So in January of 21, Brian had this job interview, and at the time, so God had asked us to sell our house. We had 5 children, 9 and under, twins, 6 months old. We sold our house 5 days before we had to be out of the house and closed. He led us to a property that then we could rent. And it all worked out, okay?
Did you find it on?
I found it on Facebook.
Yeah.
A friend
crazy.
She was going to be the property
that was a lady
manager
we went to church with.
For a couple that they moved overseas to Germany for, and their 2 kids.
Yeah.
And so what had happened in January, he had this amazing job interview, and it was him and a runner-up, and this job was...
We had already started spending the paycheck.
Well, we were sold out that this is the answer.
This is what God wanted. This is the door. I'm supposed to walk through it.
Yes.
It's going to be a cakewalk. I flew out for the interview. Oh, yeah. and like hopes really high and leave. We'll get in touch with you in a couple of days. And I'm sure none of our viewers or listeners have had this. And it's the recruiter. Oh, sorry, they went with the other person, the other candidate. You did a great job. It's like, okay. That immediately was like both of our worlds kind of crashed of like, okay, God, like, okay, that door closed. Like, what's going on? I was frustrated because I'm like, okay, my current job's not going to do this. What else is going to happen? And then another interview popped up.
And it wasn't until October.
Yeah.
We closed it the 1st of November. And
I think it was middle of October.
End of September, you started interviewing, yeah. And he took this job October 15th.
Yeah.
And
2 weeks later, we closed on the house.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And
all along, I had no idea. I was so frustrated one night. We were praying. And again, it was this was us. We were told, hey, those people that can pray together as a couple, there's strength in that. And we hadn't done a lot of that prior to all of this.
No.
Really 18, 19 was probably kind of the start of some of that. But then we really got deeper into it. Well, we were both, I was so frustrated. We were in prayer and I was like, can you just tell your God to talk to my God and, get this thing worked out? Because I couldn't see it. I was still stuck looking at the trees. I couldn't see the forest. Is that the way I'm saying it right?
Yeah.
I was so focused on one thing instead of pulling back and taking that broader perspective.
Do you want to tell the viewers what my response was?
Well, we have the same God, so how can I talk to my God? I was like, yeah, that's true. But I was still frustrated.
He was very frustrated.
Yeah.
And I think that frustration was just a really good representation of us feeling inadequate.
Yeah.
We didn't feel like we deserved the new house.
We didn't feel like we deserved the house we built back in, whatever that was, 13, 12.
Yeah.
Like we even got into that one and we're like, gosh, we're just a young couple. Like we don't deserve this. We didn't feel worthy of it.
Well,
it's kind of like the buyer's remorse when you buy a new vehicle or you buy something. Maybe others don't have this. I definitely have it. I have buyer's, like I like to just look at things. Amazon's terrible for me because you can scroll through and see a lot of things like, oh, wow. But I like to look at a lot of things. I don't really like to go purchase it. I'm frugal in that sense. Sam's Club and me are good friends when it comes to samples. Free sample days. I love samples.
Do you remember trying to take me on a date?
I do. Our very first, well, it wasn't our very first one, but I remember you'd come into Kansas City. Yeah. And I was like,
and he said, I'm hungry for lunch.
I needed to run to Sam's. I was like, hey, let's stop by Sam's. We'll get samples. Like my reality was I'm going to start low with the bar. I can only go up from there. But yeah, she didn't really think that was,
no.
Samples are great.
No, not at all.
They need to bring them. COVID was terrible for that because they put samples away. Now they're starting to come back. So that's good. That's good.
That's true.
What's the next one? Sorry.
Okay. So,
frustration.
With the inadequacy, we definitely neither one of us felt worthy. Neither one of us felt equipped for the journey that God was calling us to do. And we had a ton, and by a ton, I mean a handful of confirmations of what we were supposed to do. We also had feelings. There are some crazy, unbelievable stories just in that one home build process that you guys would get a really good kick out of. And maybe we'll have to just come back and share just those stories.
Maybe that's on the bloopers. Maybe you need to be a subscriber to see some of those things. We'll put that in the blooper reel or here's the rest of the story, the Paul Harvey, the rest of the story.
But we didn't feel adequate at all, and we didn't feel equipped. And it just goes back to God doesn't
qualify,
or he doesn't.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay. However you were going to say.
He doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called.
Yes, but only I was going to use equipped.
Okay.
So, anyways, we ended up closing on that house, and we lived there for a few years, and he asked us to sell it. And the funny thing is, something that we had mentally decided through that whole build process, and I remember Brian was frustrated, And he really kind of lived at this frustration level. And it wasn't really our journey. It was also the job at the time, the boss, the dynamic of working from home and really being stuck at home. That was a big change. And then changing our home, I started homeschooling. And so there was just a lot of change in 2020 for us.
Yeah.
And he doesn't like change, and I'm okay with change. So just the dynamic. So his frustration level was probably pretty high at the time, not just from following God in that perspective. But we worked through it, and we got through it. And in 23, he asked us to sell this house. So during that time frame, the mindset was, if we build this house and we never move into it, we've done what God has asked us to do.
Yeah.
Well,
You were the one that felt when we closed on it.
That it was no longer, it was not ours.
You didn't feel like we built it for us.
No, I felt like it was a stepping stone.
Yeah.
And the first night that we laid our head down on the bed, the night that we moved in, I had confirmation that this was not our home. And
Mind you, I didn't hear that at all. I slept peacefully because it was very quiet.
Oh, he did. He slept
But we did
peacefully.
find out, fast forwarding that to when we
Fast forward.
were obedient.
We sold our house in 23, and the couple that bought the house, they both independently said to us,
it's like you built this
house for us. Everything that you did.
Yep. Everything that you did, we would have done.
Yeah. From the tile we picked out to the carpet.
To the security
colors,
system, to the, you name it.
the long driveway.
Yeah.
How we had the plot
Could have
maps.
parked an airplane on it. I think it was that big, but it's fine.
Or a helicopter. We did have a neighbor
Helicopter to come in the neighborhood.
drop a helicopter on there.
Yeah. When you live out in acreage, it's okay. So,
Yes.
Yeah.
So, our encouragement would be that if God is calling you to do something and you can't see the forest from the trees, would be to do it anyway. And not just from for us, it was a financial journey that he took us on. And the fruit of that now is that Brian can rely on God as the provider for the home.
Yeah, I think there's, again,
I think that's the lesson that we learned through it.
Absolutely. That, and again, you mentioned kind of the times that we were in with COVID, like the frustration of, managers, of business, of you learn to deal with things differently. And I think, this book, the How to Work with Complicated People, it was a fresh read to me in my mind, but it's you can reread a book, you can read How to Win Friends and Influence People today and read it, a year ago and 2 years ago, and there's something else that stands out of it. I think learning how to work with those challenging people, learning the finances side of it, the relying, I kind of relied on, okay, God's going to open the door, but it's on me to finish it, which is true. I still have, you still have to walk through it.
Right.
But it did. The stress of it, none of us want to have debt. But being able to handle where if we have to have some of it, I didn't freak out. I wasn't again, there's still tendencies that I have where I'm oh my gosh, I don't, what's going on here? I'm guilty of that. And that is an area that God's still working on with me. But it did stretch that comfortability, if that's a word, that comfort zone for me. Yeah. And the belief, like you said, seeing the forest from the trees, not just focusing on the bark or the moss that's on the tree. I'm able to look beyond it and okay, there's a bigger picture. There's a bigger calling here to this.
So let's talk about other callings where God does stretch you financially. Going into the mission field and having to be fully funded and to rely on other people's jobs to fund you being fully funded in the mission field.
Yeah, ministry boot camp. We just heard about that this weekend at church.
Right.
Kersha's military, so boot camp, that's her world. Not for me. But
starting your own business.
Yes. Any of those that you have to self-fund and people aren't, I guess I shouldn't say this, but the majority of people are not just philanthropies out there just throwing money around.
Right.
And
and a lot of us don't even know those people either.
Correct. Yeah, it's having access to that network is not easy. But I think again, being prepared for that and being willing to step out on that faith. That okay, this may not go. You're not going to be perfect at it. We are still not perfect at this. You're not going to be good at it at first. We're all going to suck.
No.
But
we still suck.
Being able to ask for that support, being able to ask for those people to help us. But in order for them to help us, they have to see the vision. You have to paint that vision. I was thinking about, when we were in Puerto Rico, like John stood up there. Oh my gosh, like within 30 minutes, like, catch the wind was the tagline. And man, it was just like I was everywhere he was in his mind, we were there because he had painted such an amazing vision and vision casting.
He's such a good writer too.
He's an amazing writer.
He really is. Yeah. And a good storyteller.
You're coming along because you're step one. You just got to start writing. So good job. You're coming along.
I know it. The final thing is when people are called to give gifts. And this is something that we have been called to do. And the timing hasn't come yet. And so that is something that we will get into further on down the road as our faith walk journey gets walked out.
Yeah. I think so.
But for anybody, I mean, ours was building a house is how God stretched us and moved us and taught us lessons along the way, and that he ultimately is the provider and can provide for us. But for others, maybe some of you, God is calling you to the mission field. Do it anyway. Yeah. Go and do it. If God says now's the time, I want to give you the hope and encouragement to do that. If God is calling you to start a business or calling you to give that gift, you don't know what the fruit is on the backside, and he will never leave you from without.
Yeah.
He's not going to forsake you. And I think that that's our biggest, as fleshy people, that's our biggest concern is...
I'm going to be the one. I'm the one he's forsaken. Yeah, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
That's okay.
How many times have you said that?
Yeah, that's we're going to edit that one out.
And we've not been forsaken yet.
No.
So I was like, I don't think we're going to be God's first mistake.
But I think gifts, back to your point, I know we're going to add more to that down the road,
Yeah.
but I think gifts, they don't have to be just something physical that you're giving to someone. I mean, that's what we think of is I'm giving somebody a gift. But us building that house, being obedient to that, and then us selling that. We didn't gift it, but we sold it, but it was a gift to someone else. Right. I think back
that we had already built it for.
I think back to a comment when we were first going through this back in 1920, going to sell the house. I remember going to Pastor Sean, and I was like, man, moving, like I don't know. And I had one perspective, and he came at it from something totally different, and it just blew my mind. It still sticks to me. He's like, but your obedience to sell your home, who's needing that to be in the community, to be in the Northland, to be wherever, that now that's opening a door for them that could impact their life. And it was just something that was like, wow, we all get stuck in this. It's just about, I'm just looking at it from my side.
Right.
But we don't know the gift on the other side of it. Like you were saying, the forest from the trees, but also like not just it being a monetary thing. It could be the gift of our time. It could be the gifts of our talents or our resources. Like, I mean, you hear about churches need help with volunteers, and a lot of people, oh, I'm not good at that. You don't know until you do it.
Right.
I want to be the armchair quarterback and nitpick everything. The reality is, step in and do something.
Right.
And figure it out if it's right or not.
Up your game.
Yeah.
Up your game. Yeah. Two other pieces. We had a feeling of self-doubt and unbelief in God's process that took place along that. And I know I was just razzing on my husband for being so frustrated, but in this journey, I definitely dealt with the unbelief in God's process. And it was those confirmations along the way that allowed me to lean back on truth and say, no, this is truly what God has asked us to do, and we're going to do this. And one thing that we've talked about this before, but I think this is a really good example as to why we developed this on the front end of our triangle. I don't move until Brian's ready, and Brian doesn't move until I'm ready in any major decision that we're making, whether it be a job, a home change, a vehicle change, financial, anything that can impact us from a financial standpoint or from the stability of the home unit standpoint.
Well, and being able to pray about it too.
Yeah.
Because I think that there is that, again, the triangle is used, like we're moving closer to God in our triangle. But we've talked about this before, like being under the same mission.
Right.
You're not submissive to me. I'm not submissive to you in that sense. We're submissive to the mission that we're moving closer to God.
And my submission to my husband as the head of the household is that he would make a decision not for his own self-pride and selfish reasons, but that he would make the decision for the betterment of me and the children that he has behind him.
Yeah.
And that's really important. And so we're definitely not saying quit your job.
No.
We're definitely
Sell
not
your
saying
home, sell your car.
sell your
I'm not saying
home,
that. Nope, not at
or
all.
give your car away,
No.
or do any of that. What we are saying is, if God is prompting you to do something, we want to speak and encourage you that whatever He's asking you to do it without question, without unbelief, to walk that faith out, to ask for confirmation, and allow God to meet those needs where He sees fit rather than where we see fit.
Yeah.
Because where we saw fit was we should have had the job ahead of building the home. And that would have solved all of our problems. And I think we all like to come from
The easy button.
life with the easy button I still need to get you one, just so that every time you say easy button in these podcasts, I can just hit the easy.
The kids
easy.
found the no button, and I was like, "Oh, I like that one too."
Yeah,
So,
but then Mom had to say no to getting that.
So
My fun meter was in the red that day. Anyways, we just want to give you hope and encouragement. And if it's starting a business or if it's switching jobs and that is uncomfortable for you, and He's asking you to do that, to do it and do it anyway, and know that you are loved and cared for and provided for by our great God.
Well, I think it's surrounding yourself too with people that
Association.
Seeking out that association that can help you, association that can lift you up. And if you don't have that, plug into our community. If you don't have that, email us. I mean, we would love to, be that encourager for you, but also get you connected to others that can encourage you, because that is vital. To not feel alone, to not feel isolated. This day and age, some people work in an office, some people are working remote, and it can be tough. It can be trying. And when you're feeling as though you're being stretched, you need that person to call.
Go to your pastor.
Yeah.
Or any pastoral staff and ask for prayers and invite them to your table to pray. That was one thing. We had a friend
making the space.
Say, who is at your table?
Yeah.
And you need to invite people to that table for prayer.
Yeah.
And if you're not inviting them to the table, then they can't pray for you if they don't know what needs to be prayed for and how to pray for you. And sometimes we just need to pray for the clarity and the strength to continue on and to move forward. And that is one thing that Brian and I, luckily, obviously, we are open and vulnerable, and we are who God built us to be. And it's probably a rarity that you find a couple that are both willing to be open and vulnerable at somewhat the same level. There are some things where I'm a little bit more and some things where he's a little bit more. But we understand that maybe this is a rarity, but God called us to start this podcast for a reason. And so whether we ever know that reason or not, that's for you guys. And so we just want to provide hope and encouragement for you guys to whatever God is calling you to do it without answers anyway.
Yeah, just do it anyway. It's the Nike logo. Just do it. Maybe we could get them to sponsor us. That'd be kind of cool. Ooh. Just do it. Nike. I need a Nike swoosh. No. No. I think that's very true. And again, if there was something in today's, was there anything else that you wanted to add? Or
No,
that covered it? Okay.
Yeah, that covers it.
If there are pieces out of this episode that struck you, or someone it can impact, please forward it on to them. That's the way this message gets shared. That's the way anything gets shared. Anything good, anything bad, it's all being shared, word or mouth. word of mouth. That's what we want. So if you like this, something stood out to you, send it to a friend, send it to a colleague, send it to a family member, and maybe friend or family. No, I guess you could. Finances. It can be tricky when it gets to family. But I just, no, I'm kidding.
We didn't talk about finances as in
No.
how much money we make.
No.
We talked about finances from the realm of sometimes what God is calling you to do does impact your finances.
Yeah.
And it does make it really hard.
And sometimes it can be seen, you shouldn't do that.
Or felt from our fleshy of, I just lost all control over things that I thought I had done.
But at the end of the day, as you said, just do it. God will provide. It may not look like we want it to. It may not go exactly as we have planned, because that's always the saying, if you want God to laugh, tell him your plans. And he will laugh. That is for sure. So until next time, thank you again for those that have subscribed and are following. If you have not, please do that. And we look forward to catching you again on another episode of Crazy Unbelievable Faith. Take care.
Bye.